Hi FS faculty, it's Heather again with something else I learned in the AQ courses I took in the 23-24 academic year. This strategy comes from the course entitled Inspiring Inquiry and Lifelong Learning. And this technique is asking for feedback from our students about the course. I know many of us do that in various ways, but there was a specific technique described as stop, start, continue that I adjusted for my purposes, and I did so in all of my courses with some great results. Again, in the AQ course, the strategy was called Stop, Start, Continue. And it was asking students at a certain point in the course, maybe about after the first third or at midterm, what were elements of the course that they wanted to stop doing, they didn't think were very effective, some new element that was missing from the course that they would suggest we start doing, and then what elements of the course are effective that we want to continue doing. So stop, start, continue. I adjusted my approach because there are some things that our students might say we should stop doing that we cannot stop doing. So I did not use the word stop. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. But I implemented this strategy in all of my courses when I did midterm meetings. So with FS 100, of course, we do a midterm meeting when we review the professionalism, self-evaluation, and I think most of us use an individual meeting preparation exercise that we might have customized for our own uses by this point. So you'll see my example here. I also did this same exercise, however, in FS 101, even though we don't have this meeting preparation exercise, I still did this new technique when I met with students to review their Myers-Briggs and Strong. We took a couple minutes to do this activity. So again, what you see in front of you is the example from FS 100 with my individual meeting preparation exercise. I ask students to find their grade in Brightspace. I ask them whether assignments have been handed in or if anything's missing, and they can find that in the Dropbox feedback and the grading feedback. I do ask students to write a SMART goal, and they assess whether or not they're making progress toward the goal with evidence, identifying a behavior they can do to achieve the goal. And my favorite part, I always tell them, is how will they reward themselves when they achieve the goal in FS 100. But now here's the new technique. Instead of stop, start, continue, I called it keep, start, maybe not. So I asked students when they were completing this exercise to prepare for our meeting, what is one element of our class you recommend that we keep doing? Something that is effective for you. So that's the keep part. What is one element we don't do that you suggest we start doing? That's the start part. And then what is one element you wish we didn't do, which is not effective for you? That's the maybe not part. And you'll notice I did not use the word stop, and I did not promise that we would stop doing anything in the class, because a student might recommend something that's simply not realistic to stop doing in our class. So again, I called it keep, start, maybe not, and asked students to list at least one element under each of those categories. I received quite a bit of feedback. Many students listed more than one element under keep and start. Sometimes students were nervous about listing anything under maybe not, and said things like, NA, I think everything's great. But I did get a few items under maybe not. I was surprised that some students in letter B suggested that we start doing more discussions in my online classes. I do have discussions in all of my online classes, but some students suggested we start doing more. Then, of course, I had at least one under letter C who said he wished we didn't do discussions in our classes. But again, I got some great feedback about effective elements, some suggestions that we would start doing, and at least a little bit of feedback about things they wish we didn't do. An interesting element in the didn't do part was a student questioned our instructions for how much students need to write in many of our assignments under each item. And he said some of the questions we asked were simple to him, where he didn't think he needed 3 to 5 sentences to respond. So I thanked him for that feedback and said maybe we need to look at the level of our questions to have more in-depth questions when we're requiring more in-depth responses. But again, very interesting responses and useful responses to keep, start, maybe not.